Well, hello, this is John Yates. I chair the technology practice at Morris, Manning and Martin. And today I'm very pleased to be with Justin Adams, who is the co-founder and CEO of Aiwyn, which is a very interesting company and very applicable to a lot of the professionals that are listening to this podcast. Justin, there's a lot of accountants, some lawyers, there's other folks that can use your services and use the platform you have. So Justin, it's good to have you with us today.
Thank you, John, for having me. Excited to be here.
So Justin, you just went through a little bit of a rebranding process. Why don't you tell us about that first and how you came up with the name Aiwyn?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. We were focused on finding a name that really conveyed the essence of who we are as a company. And Aiwyn is Old English for wise friend. And so we thought that was kind of a perfect description of really how we view ourselves with our customers.
And spell that for the audience too, Justin.
AIWWYN. So if you go to aiwyn.ai, that's our website.
That is great. Well, I'll tell you what, it's hard to come up with the names nowadays that will work for a website, but the Aiwyn is a good one, and that's a very good definition of what you do. So in that regard, why don't you walk us through the elevator pitch? Let's assume that we don't know much about Aiwyn. What is the elevator pitch?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. So we help professional service firms, primarily right now accounting firms, in their collections and payments process. So everything from the time the billing is done all the way to when a payment is made is what we do, and I've had some really great successes and case studies that you can find on our website as well.
That's great. When you say professional services firms, can you give us some examples? Is it accountants? Is it law firms? Is it others? Is it a broad expanse?
Yeah, right now our first target vertical is accounting firms, and so we serve everywhere from kind of top 10 accounting firms all the way down to firms that are a couple $1 million a year in revenue and everywhere in between. And so what we discovered and kind of how we landed on this solution was when I actually sold my previous company to a private equity firm, hired a top 10 accounting firm to help us with the due diligence. And when it came time they did great work with that. And then when it came time to make a payment, it was a very friction-filled process and quite painful. And it was kind of when the light bulb moment went off and trying to figure out why that is. And it turns out it has to do with a lot of the legacy practice management systems that the firms tend to operate on. And so we just, we and our customers really believe that the client experience doesn't end when the work's performed. It's the entire life cycle. And so we've created a really kind of seamless Amazon-like checkout experience for our customers' clients.
So Justin, for the sake of the audience, what would be the biggest problem that a professional service firm would have where they would say, we got to use Aiwyn? What is the nature of that problem? There's probably lots of problems you address, but what are maybe one or two that just, boy, if they got this problem, they need Aiwyn?
Yeah, so certainly where we started on the accounts receivable, we're seeing a lot of firms as they try to transition payments from kind of physical checks onto online and digital, their systems are not integrated. And so that creates a clunky client experience. And so our tech wraps around the legacy systems and creates a unified experience. And so really that's creating, lowering DSO for firms, increasing the amount of payments online, just a lot of kind of really good, getting cash in the door quicker type of things. And so that's where we started. Finance teams love us because we're so much better than kind of anything else out there. And then we've moved into recently is on the billing experience. I think any partner knows the pains of how much non-billable time is spent just preparing invoices and bills, and so we've created a seamless experience with modern analytics coming out of the legacy practice management systems. That our internal rallying cry is to take the 2 days the average partner spends a month around the billing process and move that to 2 hours. And so that's really what we've been focused on and what we're going to be rolling out on the market here.
So I can remember, Justin, I've been practicing law a long time. I would go on vacation and I would make my wife drive, and I would have this stack of about 3 feet high of paper bills, and I'd be flipping them over. And my wife told me it's the most painful experience because I don't use a lot of profanity, but reading through the bills, I would have this profanity because it was just like I kept turning things were in the wrong category. People didn't have the right narrative. It was just a big mess. Sounds like you're helping to address that particular issue, making a much more streamlined process, both for the back office as well as the professional.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing is we're taking all the data and presenting it in a way more usable format. So you'll have things like utilization, realization, calculations, all performed. So you're not digging around through old PDFs or emails, and it's all within the system, and allows you to communicate with any admins or folks on the team, all within that system. So you're not having to leave it and do these human heroics of trying to get the proper invoice prepared.
So who would be the buyer within the professional services firm? Is it a CFO? Is this a buy that requires going to a management committee? Because let's face it, Justin, you know that professional services firms don't exactly run like normal companies sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it really depends on the size of the firm. And so, some firms, the CFO is the buyer. Really large firms, it's a director of finance. And then, if it's a smaller firm, maybe there is more of a management committee. But, our price point, is certainly doable for every firm, especially when you look at the ROI, right? I mean, you see the case studies, and we're more than paying for ourselves in the first year of deployment. So, the industry, is appropriately, focused on making sure that the ROI is real. And fortunately, we have a product that, more than kind of covers that box. So.
That's great. So if you're thinking about this from a perspective of the sales process itself, how long does that sales process for you generally run? And is there a way for a firm, professional services firm, to sort of demo the product to see how it's going to address and fit into their existing platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So the short answer is yes. I mean, it's completely, everything's demoable, and we have customers across all the major practice management systems, and so it's rare we don't have reference calls, right, with firms wanting to talk to a firm on their existing practice management. So you integrate with Star. Do you really? And so within we're fortunate that we have customers that are more than willing to take reference calls for us, and so there's a lot. We make it really easy for a firm to feel comfortable about buying, and with an NPS score in the 70s, I think that speaks favorably to how much our customers love us. And so in terms of kind of sales cycle, it depends on the size of the firm, right? We've done deals as smaller deals under a month. Our average deal is 3 to 4 months from kind of beginning to end, and then we have, like I mentioned, top 10 firms as customers. And those deals could take in the 9 to 12 month range. So it just really depends on the size of the firm.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So talk to us about your growth plans. It sounds like you've been very successful so far. We're proud to be working with you at MMM, and it sounds like you've got some plans to expand. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been fortunate to have raised $18 million in venture capital to date, which for a company based in Charlotte is a sizable amount. And really, our lead investor, Revolution Ventures out of DC, has been a great partner for us. And right now we are heads down, growing, building a team, continuing to grow our client base, and so we'll likely raise additional capital in the next year or so. But we're fortunate that we've been able to kind of shrug off the macroeconomic stuff going on, because we have a strong balance sheet, and allows us really just to focus on building phenomenal products for our clients, which I feel very strongly for too long have been underserved with bad technology and legacy conglomerates owning a lot of the market. It's really exciting to see our modern stuff getting in the hands of users. Having been at PwC for a number of years, I have a passion of of getting, good modern technology into professional services and allowing them. No one goes to law school to do bill prep. Allowing lawyers to be lawyers and accountants to be accountants. So that's really a big personal goal of mine.
That's great. Well, from your perspective too, when you think about the process of growing a business, Justin, we're now in this hybrid world. Be interested in your thoughts about how you're dealing with that issue about letting folks work from home, having come into the office, where you think the future is going to be. Obviously, been very successful. I may be able to provide some insights to folks about that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we were fortunate in a lot of ways that we started the company a couple months after the pandemic started. And so what that did is that made us, forced us to be kind of remote from the get-go. Because even though a lot of us are based in Charlotte, we weren't, gathering in person. And so we have a physical office in Charlotte, but it's really more of a place for people to gather for if they need to do some deep work together or meetings. And so we're a remote first company, and we will be, because I have teammates in Israel, teammates in Brazil. I mean, we're really kind of all around the world. And what that does is that really allows us and opens up, ability to source talent kind of anywhere, which I think, if you get the right folks, I'm a big believer in kind of, putting goals out there and then trusting them to get the work done. And I don't feel like you need to babysit them, watching them every day. But there is a lot of advantages to being in person. And so I think I think the world will struggle, kind of indefinitely now on what's that right mix between hybrid versus remote versus in person. And the reality is, it probably depends on the industry and the company in terms of what the right answer is. There's probably no longer kind of a one size fits all, would be my take on it.
Yeah, I think you're very right. You mentioned earlier Charlotte. Maybe a couple of quick questions about that. How is it building a company in Charlotte? It happens to be my hometown from many years ago, and it seems to be growing as a community.
Yeah, I would say the Charlotte today, compared to the Charlotte 11 years ago that I moved to, are very different. I think it would have been exceedingly hard to start a technology company a decade ago in Charlotte. When I did my previous company 5 years ago, it was challenging, but I think it's getting easier to do so. And certainly we have a lot of the kind of early pioneers, firms, whether it's the Avid Exchanges or the Passports of the world here in Charlotte, that have kind of started to build that ecosystem. And as they say, we stand on the shoulders of giants. And so I'm excited just to kind of be a little small link in hopefully the continuing maturation of technology in Charlotte.
Well, Justin, you did a great job in building a company in a very interesting market. Professional services firms tend to be slow adopters. And so, as you pointed out earlier, you're sort of taking the existing legacy systems that they have, which they haven't changed much over the years, and you've really supercharged them with your solution to your platform. And speaking as a professional service provider myself, I know that is a very valuable tool, and you're addressing some of the real pain points that are out there. So congratulations on raising the capital and growing the company. We're very proud to have you as a client. We're excited about your future, and all the best.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.